Yo, what is up, squad? So, I decided to start, an educational series for the channel, which if you haven't already, if you could go ahead, like this video and subscribe to the channel, that would be huge. But yeah, like I said, man, I wanted to start an educational series for you guys. For starters, I love this shit and spend time studying and researching every single day, on training and nutrition. It's just part of like my daily workflow. It's what I do. So I love to talk about it. Like, I'm obviously fascinated by the shit. Also, some of you may be interested in this stuff too, and it could be a chance for you to learn a little bit. Now, I will give you guys a heads up. I'm not very tech savvy, so as far as like having shit pop up on the screen, as I'd like, is probably not gonna happen until someone teaches me. You know what I mean? I know a little bit, but we're just gonna have to make do for now, all right? Now, for the first episode of the series, I figured it'd make the most sense to kind of start with something basic, right? And it'll probably be pretty fucking basic for the first couple of episodes. Some of you may give it a watch, get bored and leave, and some of you may enjoy it and stick it out. Regardless, it's going to be useful and important information. We just have to start somewhere, right? And as of right now, my plan, kind of like my goal with this is to just keep it to like 5 to 8 minutes per video. Like 5 to 8 minutes max. Okay. I don't want to sit here and teach like a fucking lecture because I know you guys will end up getting bored. All right. But today, I just kind of wanted to dive in a little bit on one of the more popular topics in the nutrition world, that topic being protein. Okay. So let's get into kind of like the overview of protein, right? Like, like what the fuck is it really? Like what's it made up of? What's it do for your body? All that shit. So for starters, protein, it's comprised of chains of amino acids. All right. I know you guys have all heard of amino acids before. Protein is also, building blocks for bodily tissue. Okay. Protein also has 9 essential amino acids. For those of you that have heard EAAs, yeah, essential amino acids. So this is made up of, your BCAAs, your leucine, isoleucine, your valine, all that shit. Protein is also 4 kcal per gram, okay? And protein turnover is in a constant state, which causes this net protein balance, all right? So, which in turn is the amount of synthesis versus degradation. Okay. And this is how much protein are you building versus how much protein you're breaking down. And, what is that difference, right? So if you're building more protein than you're breaking down, you'll have a net positive protein balance, okay? Which simply means, simply typically means you're building tissue, okay? Now, if you're causing lots of protein degradation, you have little protein synthesis, you're probably going to have a net protein loss, which in turn could cause you to lose skeletal muscle mass or tissue muscle mass in some sense, okay? So I kind of want to touch on that again briefly, the overview. So for starters, protein, comprised of chains of amino acids, right? It's the building block for bodily tissue. You have 20 amino acids total that make up your bodily tissue, all right? Then there's 9 EAAs, right? 9 essential amino acids. Then it's made up of BCAAs, leucine, isoleucine, valine, all that shit, okay? Protein is 4 kcal per gram. Protein turnover is in a constant state, which causes the net protein balance, right? Which again is the amount of synthesis versus degradation. How much protein are you building versus how much you're breaking down? What's the difference, all right? That's what that is. So, like I said, that's kind of like the basic overview of protein. Now, what is, protein's effect on our body composition? Because after all, we want to know, what protein actually does for our body, right? So for starters, it can increase satiety and decrease hunger signaling. If I probably butchered that word, I still to this day am not sure how to pronounce it, but satiety. But yeah, it can increase satiety and decrease hunger signaling. This is usually why higher protein amounts are recommended when you're trying to cut weight, okay? It's gonna help you feel fuller throughout the day. Now, protein also has a greater thermic effect of food, which is, your energy required for digestion, absorption, disposal of ingested nutrients, With that being said, what you eat affects the energy you expend too, okay? So following that, a calorie isn't just a calorie, guys. For example, say you have or say you take out 50 grams of carbs and add it into 50 grams of protein, okay, it's going to have a very different substantial effect. You could have, shittier training sessions by lowering your carbs. Again, you could have a decrease in hunger by increasing your protein intake. In a calorie surplus, elevated protein can enhance muscle mass and keep fat gain decreased. And then in, a calorie deficit, elevated protein can cause greater fat loss potentially, okay? So I know that's kind of a lot. I'm going to run over that again as well. Again, this is, we went over the overview of protein. Now this is, protein's effect on body composition, right? Because we want to know what protein does to our body and like why we're eating it in the first place. So for starters, protein can increase satiety and decrease hunger signaling, okay? Again, this is usually why higher amounts of protein are recommended when trying to cut weight. It's going to help you feel fuller throughout the day, all right? And then protein has a greater thermic effect of food, all right, which again is the energy required for, your digestion, absorption of nutrients, and disposal of ingested nutrients, okay? So keep in mind, what you eat affects the energy you expend too, okay? Then in, a calorie surplus, elevated protein can enhance muscle mass and keep fat gain decreased. And then in a calorie deficit, elevated protein can cause greater fat loss potentially, okay? So guys, like I said, I wanted to keep it, kind of short and to the point. I don't want to go too far in depth and hit too many different topics on just one video. I want to break it up so it's easier to pay attention throughout the entire video. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, this was the first video, so give your boy a break. All right, it's the first video of the educational series. So we had to give this a shot and just see how it went, see how it played out, right? So I do want to thank you guys for watching and remind you there is another vlog dropping tomorrow, and this educational series is set to take place every Wednesday. So do me a favor, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe so you don't miss next week's video. All right, appreciate it.